Good evening. Welcome to the Health and Human Services Subcommittee meeting. Would you please join me and salute the flag?
Roll call of the members of the committee. Councilor Argenzio.
Here.
Here. Councilor Jaramillo is absent. Councilor McKenna.
Here.
Here. Councilor Silvestri.
Here.
Here. And Chairman Haas.
Here.
Here. Quorum is present. There's one item on tonight's agenda, and that is a motion by Councilor Kelly that the City Council order to a public hearing an ordinance requiring the publication of certain records of the Police Department.
Hello. Name and address for the record, please.
Good evening, councilors. Michelle Kelly, Councilor at Large, Derby Road. I'd like to, first of all, thank you for holding this subcommittee meeting regarding my motion. My main goal of this motion is to just bring some statistical data and information to residents in a form that is easily accessible for them. If you remember, we used to have what was called a police blotter, published weekly in the local papers, which is no longer being done. While campaigning, I was actually asked over and over again why the police blotter is no longer published. And since it's no longer published, how residents could get this information. In addition, shortly after the election, I was contacted by residents who knew some type of criminal activity took place on their street, but they were not able to get specific information about what actually had happened. I'm told the police blotter is no longer published because it could possibly open the city up to liability in the event that incorrect or inaccurate information containing identities or personal details were published. And I guess to an extent I agree with that. However, I also believe we have a responsibility to our residents as elected officials in bringing awareness and being transparent, even about things which may be less than becoming. Because being aware of your surroundings is directly related to public safety and the safety of our residents. In addition, awareness and transparency were two notions that many of us campaigned on during the last election. This change is merely an attempt to continue to keep our residents aware of what's going on in their neighborhoods and being transparent about it. As elected officials, I believe we have a responsibility to provide an easy way for residents to get whatever information they want. And I'm confident that Attorney Capizzi, pursuant to Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 4, Section 7.26, could make sure that statistical data is set forth in such a way so that it maintains confidentiality regarding personal identities and details, and therefore does not expose the city to any liability. I understand that printing this statistical data in local papers would come as an added expense to the city. So I am therefore suggesting that we at least request our IT department to create a link on the city's website where the statistical data can be displayed on a weekly or bi-weekly basis for residents to access if they so wish. I hope that you will see that this is a reasonable request and vote this out of subcommittee favorably this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Any members wishing to speak? Councilor Argenzio.
I think this is an excellent motion brought forth by Councilor Kelly. I think that data as far as if a car theft or a house break occurs on a particular street, you could report that. You just leave the name of the person that may have perpetrated it out. You could put all that information up on a website, and residents could look to see if anything's happening in their neighborhoods. If robberies have increased, they could be on the lookout. So I think that's a great motion, and I encourage it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Silvestri.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Councilor Kelly. And I agree, it's a good motion. Have you spoken to the chief about this?
I have not. What I did do was do a little research on the police department's website, and I was unable to find any statistical data. The link that I did go to seemed to have everything redacted, so there was no information for me to access.
Even just the crime itself is?
I couldn't find it. I couldn't access it, which is why, again, I'm asking for this to be easily accessible for residents. So if we have a link clearly posted on the city's website, you know, if I couldn't find anything and I was really looking for it, I don't think the average person could find it.
And you're only asking for data, neighborhood, crime that was committed, no name, no,
Exactly right.
got it. Thank you.
Councilor McKenna.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Councilor Kelly, I think this is a great motion. One thing in my ward, in the last couple of years, we've had theft. People have left their cars open, and people are blatantly they're going into driveways, opening the cars and stealing. And the only way I could get that out was on Facebook. So I think this is so if we have Facebook and we have the Journal and the Advocate to do this, I think this is great, because I do think that people pick up either one of those papers and read them.
Well,
So-
just to clarify, I'm not sure, when I first inquired about this, I was told that there is an added expense that's going to come to the city if we want this published in print in the Advocate and the Journal. So I don't know if that's an expense that we want to take on. I'm all for it if we can do it. If it's in the budget or we can find a way to do it, I'm all for it. If not, I would at least ask that we put it on the Riviera.org website.
I think this is a great idea. Thank you very much.
Permission to speak from the chair? Thank you. So originally, I had thought that when we first brought this up, we were speaking about putting people's names back into the police log, like we had talked about early on. I understand that causes an issue if it's sensitive information, if it's an incident related to an assault, or if the case ends up getting dismissed at a future date. How do you go back and say it's been dismissed? And because once it's printed on there, it's printed, it's there forever, and I understand if a case gets dismissed, that could cause an issue for someone moving forward. But since this is more or less just based on a location and incidents happening around the city, I don't really see an issue with it, and I think it would be something that would greatly benefit the residents if they could go on the Riviera website and just get an idea of what's happening in the area, just to be extra cautious. Thank you. Read the ordinance?
Yeah, you want to read it? It's just a couple paragraphs, so in case anyone wants to go over the exact language that
Yep.
they may be voting on. The ordinance as presented is as follows. An ordinance requiring the publication of certain records of the police department. A new section 2.60.120, police blotter and arrest log publication. New section A, the police department shall make the police blotter and arrest log accessible to the public by publishing it on a weekly basis on the official website of the City of Revere. The police blotter and arrest log shall include, but not limited to, a chronological list containing information on arrests, citations, accidents, incidents, and any other relevant law enforcement activities within the police department. Section B, the police blotter and arrest log shall be easily accessible to the public through a dedicated section or page on the official website. The police blotter shall be in a format that is easily searchable, sortable, and downloadable for public viewing and analysis. And lastly, Section C, the police department shall ensure that the published information complies with relevant laws and regulations concerning public records and shall redact or remove any part of the police blotter and arrest log that is exempt from disclosure pursuant to Mass General Laws, Chapter 4, Section 7, subsection 26, or other legally applicable privileges from non-exempt material.
Councilor Silvestri.
Thank you for the leeway. I'm sorry, Councilor Kelly. Did you get any opinion from Paul Capizzi?
Have I gotten anything from
Yeah.
Paul Capizzi? No.
No.
But basically, we were asking him is to stay within the limits of the law so that we would not be exposing the city to any liability. If it's statistical data and all personal identity and, sensitive information regarding anyone's identity is being redacted and withheld, personally, I don't see how that could be an issue.
No, I don't think it's an issue. I just don't think I think there's maybe a place for it. I just don't know if the city's website is the most appealing to,
I think I can, well, I mean, if it were up to me, it would be published again in the paper.
Yeah,
Right?
understand.
But there's an expense tied to that, so I would be open to suggestion if someone has a better
Okay,
idea.
thank you.
Permission to speak from the chair? Is there a way we could link it to the Revere Police page instead of having it right on the revere.org homepage? That's something we could definitely reach out to Chief Callahan about. I've spoken to him, and he said he has no problem speaking to us about this. So any questions, I'm sure we could ask Chief.
Mr. Chairman, through you to the Madam Clerk, should we make an amendment stating that no personal information, the way it's read there, it sounds like we're looking for arrest logs and what have you. Should we make an amendment saying that no personal information will be revealed, or is that acceptable to you?
I thought that's what we had talked about too, and then I heard
Okay.
names in there, and I got a little, oh, hold on a second, because we said we weren't going to focus on the printing of names.
I can read it one more time, and the committee can certainly make any amendments as they see fit. So the Section A read as follows: "The police department shall make the police blotter and arrest log accessible to the public by publishing it on a weekly basis on the official website of the City of Revere. The police blotter and arrest log shall include, but not limited to, a chronological list containing information on arrests, citations, accidents, incidents, and any other relevant law enforcement activities within the police department."
So do we want to take out info on arrests? Can we make a change on that one?
Counselor, would you object to putting it on the police's page and not the city's main page?
No, I wouldn't object to it. I think maybe if we had a link on the revere.org that would then take them
Take you there, yeah.
to the police department.
Page?
Yeah.
Yep,
But
absolutely.
there is some language in that, I believe, that speaks to the Massachusetts general law that might speak to the sensitive information, I think.
Mr. Chair.
If you don't mind. Councilor Jaramillo.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, for the leeway. And through you to Councilor Kelly, thank you so much for presenting this order. And I just have a few questions about it. So I guess, what is the feedback you've been hearing from residents as it relates to this particular motion that you're
So
presenting?
you weren't here for my...
I'm sorry.
That's okay. So basically, when I was campaigning, I had several incidents where residents were saying, hey, what happened to the police blotter? How come we used to have this in the journal, and we used to be able to know what was going on in terms of criminal activity in my neighborhood? I would know how vigilant I needed to be, and I could get that information easily and accessible. I can't get it anymore. And honestly, I didn't know, and I didn't even know that it had stopped being printed. And it got me thinking, and I said, I really don't know why we stopped it. Then I actually had residents call me and say, I saw 4 police cruisers on my street, and I know something happened, but I tried calling everywhere, and I can't get any information as to exactly what happened. I don't want to live 2 doors down from something and not know what's happening right in my community and right in my neighborhood. Do I need to be more vigilant? Should I be putting up maybe a security camera? Should I, what's going on? It seems like I can't get the information. So when I dug in a little deeper, I found out that most likely the reason why Revere, and not only Revere, other communities as well, are moving away from printing this information is because if someone were to get arrested or something, say it was a mistaken identity or anything could happen, and we print that information in that individual's identity, and then he's cleared of all charges, and it was a mistake or whatever, that kind of never goes away. It's out there, right? That person now has this charge or linked to their name, and if they were to go for a job interview 5 years down the road and somebody Googles their name and this comes up, it could negatively impact them, which therefore could expose the city to liability. So what I'm asking for in an attempt to satisfy the public desire to get this information, even though it may be less than becoming, and it's not information that we gladly want to publicize, right? I mean, but residents have a right to know about it, is to just merely put it in the form of statistical data so that names, addresses, ages, none of that is going to be printed or available. It's merely just, hey, there was, a car theft on Sigourney Road, or there was a house break-in on Reservoir Ave, or whatever, just so people can be aware of what's going on in the community, which definitely links to public safety, right? To be more aware of your surroundings, we're all been told that. And I think we all have a responsibility as public officials to, bring the awareness and the information to the residents if they want it.
So I appreciate the intent. So have you had conversations with the police harm reduction task force about this ordinance, perchance?
I have not. I did speak to Sergeant Giannino, who gave me a little bit of insight. Well, Counselor Giannino, I'm sorry, who gave me a little bit of insight. And that's really it. I did check out the City of Riviera's website, the police website. Couldn't find any information there. The information that they did have posted was all redacted, so I don't understand why it's even there, because everything is redacted. So I couldn't find any information.
Okay. And then, so I know that for elections, for example, clerks and election departments have a hard time anonymizing data when the data set is really small. So, how does this deal with that issue when you have maybe one incident that happened on, say, Elm Street, and most people know who did that? How do you?
Whether or not most people know who did it or not isn't a concern. If we're not listing the individual's identity, then we can't be held responsible. We're merely stating a fact that it took place, that something took place, that a car theft or a break-in or an assault and battery actually took place. If we're not disclosing the individual who is suspect of committing the crime, we can't be held to any liability.
Okay, but so how do you solve the issue about anonymizing data when the data set is so small? I mean,
Someone goes in and redacts it.
so the police department will be redacted?
Absolutely. I don't believe
And is
that would be a
written into your
laborious.
motion?
I'm sorry?
Is that written into your motion? It is. It looks like
Yes,
section C.
so the last part of the motion actually mentions Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 4, Section 7-26, and it would be asking for all sensitive information or details regarding an individual's name or identity be redacted.
And how do we solve the issue for folks who are struggling with substance use, where there may be hotspots in different parts of the city? How do we solve for potentially marginalizing certain parts of the neighborhoods or certain parts of the city when
Well, we already have.
when even in an anonymized set
Well-
of data, statistical data, you're saying 15, what is it? Overdose, arrests? Is it
Well,
break-ins?
Counselor, with all due respect, because of the Narcan boxes that have already been put up in the city, it's pretty apparent as to where those marginalized areas exist. So that's out there.
Is it the duty of the city, however, who's, I think, working towards a harm reduction approach, to continue to marginalize these communities by putting that data?
If it's factual data, I don't believe that the community is being marginalized. I believe that it's information that is pertinent to the people who live in those neighborhoods so that they can be vigilant and aware of their surroundings and therefore, be protecting their public safety.
So I heard you say earlier about how some residents were concerned and wanted to be vigilant about their neighbors, but particularly talking about folks who are struggling with substance use disorders and mental health issues, who actually need help, right? And oftentimes, or sometimes, regular police response isn't what's adequate. There is a task force within the police department that responds to folks struggling with mental health and substance use issues. And are we asking then the resident differentiate between what is a health issue and a legitimate criminal complaint or a criminal security issue?
This would
Or-
be arrest. This would be something that would be publicized or published in a police blotter.
You may understand that people struggling with substance use issues and mental health issues disproportionately get arrested compared to the rest of the population. So I guess that's my question.
So if
How
they're
do we
not being
best-
named,
How do we best respond
Correct.
in those situations?
And if they're not being named, Counselor, I don't see how that harms them. If their identity is not being exposed and merely the arrest itself is being published, I don't see how that negatively impacts them.
So if I live on my street and my neighbor has recorded mental health or substance use issues, and police has responded to their home multiple times, how are we looking out for the best interest of this neighbor who is struggling through something, when the neighbor is being asked to differentiate between what is a security or criminal complaint and a health issue?
Well, I would hope that when the police are called, that they then allow whatever public services are available to that individual to rehabilitate himself.
Okay, thank you. So, and then just to, I guess, close out my line of questioning here, you have stated now that you have not reached out to North Suffolk Community Health, who is the entity within the police department that handles mental health and substance use issues within the police department?
I have not.
Okay, thank you. Motion to leave in committee until we get answers from the North Suffolk Community Health, and maybe we can ask them to come and testify.
I really see this as a issue of bringing the statistical data that used to be published in the police blotter, and that's all I'm looking to do here. So I would request that this be voted on favorably tonight.
Motion to table.
I would like to remind the committee, too, that we did all have an election not too long ago, and we did all run on, I believe, on bringing awareness and transparency to the residents of Revere. And in that vein, I don't see that that's what's being done here.
Thank you. So Councilor Jaramillo presented a motion to table, and that's non-debatable. So this, I believe this stays within the.
What does the committee want to do? You all in favor? You can take a roll call to table it. Opposed, or you can take a roll call.
We'll take
Motion.
take a roll call to table, I believe. That was the suggestion, right?
On Councilor Jaramillo's motion to table the matter in committee, Councilor Argenzio?
No.
No. Councilor Jaramillo?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor McKenna?
No.
No. Councilor Silvestri?
Yes.
Yes. And Chairman Hass?
Yes.
Yes, the matter will be tabled in committee. No further business, Chairman.
The Health and Human Services Subcommittee meeting has adjourned. Thank you. Have a great night.
Welcome to the Zoning Subcommittee of the Revere City Council for June 3rd, 2024. All rise and salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk?
Roll call of the members. Counselor Guarino Sawaya.
Present.
Here, Counselor Kelly. Counselor Kelly? Oh,
Here.
here, Counselor Novoselsky. Here, Counselor Silvestri.
Here.
Here, and Chairman Zambudo.
Here.
Here, quorum is present. First item on tonight's agenda is an ordinance further amending the zoning map of the city of Revere, changing the GB district to the TED district for certain parcels on North Shore Road.
Councilor Carino Sawaya.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Chairman, as discussed previously, when I proposed the motion, the zoning change from the GB district, from GB to the TED will make the two parcels that are there conforming as they are being operated non-conforming now. They're being used as garages, and it will continue to be used as garages and perhaps just licensed to sell a vehicle. But it will be conforming by changing it from GB to TED.
Thank you. Anybody else? Any members of the audience want to speak? Oh, Councilor Novoselsky.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I don't have a problem with this. You know, when we do something like this, I don't want anybody to think it's spot zoning,
It's not.
because it's already adjacent to a TED district, so as long as it's
Yeah.
contingent with it. And it's for a good reason. We got a good family that wants to take it over, you know, put some business in there, and I think it's a good move.
Thank you, Councilor. I agree with you. It is not spot zoning, and I'm against spot zoning, so. Yeah, and we checked with the city planner, and he agrees with us. So, anybody else want to speak on this matter? I guess we'll take a roll call. For a favorable recommendation, correct. See, I shouldn't get ahead of myself, should I?
Shall the zoning subcommittee offer a favorable recommendation for adoption of the zoning ordinance change relative to the relative to the TED district on North Shore Road? Counselor Guarino Sawaya?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Kelly?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Novoselsky?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Silvestri?
Yes.
Yes, and Chairman Zambudo?
Yes.
Yes, the zoning map change has received a favorable recommendation, will be reported out to the full city council this evening.
Thank you.
Next matter is Council Order 24-168, zoning ordinance further amending the floodplain overlay district of the city of Revere.
Is anybody here to speak on this?
The city council received an email from the chief of planning this afternoon. He said he unfortunately was unable to attend, but did submit some testimony in writing for the committee, and it did receive a favorable recommendation from the planning board.
So what's the will of the committee?
Mr. Chairman, if I may,
Councilor Novoselsky.
I don't have a problem. This is something dealing with the federal government, and seems to be helping our folks in Revere. So I think we ought to move forward with it, approve it here, and then bring it to the council. Thank you.
Yeah, please do.
This was the email from Tom Skorowski from this afternoon. Unfortunately, I'm not able to attend the zoning subcommittee meeting and subsequent council meeting tonight, but I wanted to submit a few remarks to the zoning subcommittee and the council in support of the floodplain zoning amendment going in front of the city council this evening. To reiterate what I stated at the public hearing, these changes are mandated by FEMA to continue to participate in the National Flood Insurance Program. If we do not pass these changes by July 3rd, we will be suspended from the program. The changes outlined were done in consultation with the National Flood Insurance Program State Coordinator and aligned with the new changes to our flood insurance rate maps that become effective July 3rd. A few notes on those changes. The new firms simply consolidate several letters of map change that have taken place since 2021. These letters of map change are currently in effect, but these changes will now become part of the new firms. See attached, which outlines those changes. None of the changes place additional restrictions on Revere property owners. As stated previously, these changes are all less restrictive than what was there previously. Even were that not the case, the comment period on map changes has passed, so these changes will go into effect. Now we simply just need to update our zoning to reflect these new maps. You can find these new maps on FEMA's website. I must admit they are not user-friendly, but until we get the new data from FEMA, we do not have the capability to add these points into our floodplain overlay that appears on GIS. Once we get that data, we will add it. And there were additional questions about burdens being placed on residents in Ward 5, specifically along Revere Beach Boulevard. I can confirm that none of the letters of map change included here were related to those areas. Those maps have been unaffected since 2016, so any changes that have taken place are due to issues with property owners and their private insurance. In short, these zoning changes are necessary to continue to participate in the National Flood Insurance Program and are based off of new maps effective July 3rd that do not place any additional restrictions on Revere property owners.
So we want to report this out? Yeah. It looks like the will of the committee is to report this out favorably.
Shall the zoning subcommittee offer a favorable recommendation on adoption of the new floodplain map? Councilor Guarino Sawaya?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Kelly?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Novoselsky?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Silvestri?
Yes.
Yes. And Chairman Zambudo?
Yes.
Yes, the floodplain map has received a favorable recommendation for adoption. There's no further business.
That concludes the zoning subcommittee for June 3rd, 2024. Thank you all.
Good evening. This is the June 3rd Appointments Subcommittee. Could we all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Thank you very much.
Roll call of the members, Counselor Argenzio.
Here.
Here, Counselor Janino.
Here.
Here, Counselor Kelly.
Here.
Here, Counselor Zambudo.
Here.
Here, and Chairwoman McKenna.
Here.
Here, quorum is present. First appointment is on tonight's agenda is the reappointment of Deborah Frank to the Affordable Housing Trust Fund.
Hi, Deb. Could you state your name and address for the record, please?
Sorry, Deb Frank, 605 Middle Street, Braintree. I work at a Riviera and Chelsea area with Metro Credit Union.
Thank you very much. Could you just tell me, describe how the Affordable Housing Trust Fund is going?
In the last year, we've made significant progress. When I first started, approximately 2 years ago, we didn't have a budget. We now do. We had no real projects going. We now have several projects going, and we look forward to having additional ones.
Great, thank you very much. Thank you for coming up here tonight. Do a good job for the city, and thank you. Bye-bye. All in favor? All opposed? For a favorable recommendation? So ordered.
Council Order 24-147, communication from the mayor relative to the reappointment of Toby Pearlstein to the Library Board of Trustees.
Toby, will you come up here, please? Can you state your name and address for the record, please?
Toby Pearlstein, 67 Brad Street Avenue.
Thank you, Toby. I just read your resume. I couldn't believe it. It was a book. It was you have a wealth of knowledge and experience. I mean, you're in the right place. Can you just tell me about a little bit what you've been bringing to the table in the library, the Board of Trustees?
All right, thanks. Sorry. Well, I have extensive experience both in libraries serving the public as well in corporate libraries. I've served in a number of different organizations within the profession of library science. I've written in the profession for quite a number of years, so I think I bring a lot to the table from varying perspectives.
Thank you. Any councilors like to say something? Councilor Zambudo?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chairman. I've known Toby for many, many years. She brings an unbelievable amount of experience. We're just thrilled that you still want to serve. So thank you very much for your service.
My pleasure.
Thank you, Councilor Zambudo. Councilor Argenzio.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. I've known Toby for a few years myself, and with her work down at the Historical Society, and she's very passionate about what she does. And I think this is an excellent appointment, and I'm fully support it.
Thank you. Any other councilors? All in favor? All opposed? For a favorable recommendation? So ordered. Thank you, Toby.
Council Order 24-180, communication from the mayor relative to the appointment of Marita Coombs to the Library Board of Trustees.
So Marita is not here tonight, so, and she did call. She's working, and she'd have to, not work. So I'm going to accept her in appointments tonight. Thank you. All in favor? All opposed? For I can't speak tonight. A favorable recommendations? Aye, so ordered. I'll have to take my time.
Council Order 24-181, communication from the mayor relative to the reappointment of Paul Ring to the Library Board of Trustees.
Paul, will you come up here, please? You state your name and your address for the record.
Paul Ring, 67 Fenno Street.
Thank you, Paul. Could you tell me what you have brought to the Library Board of Trustees?
Well, I've been on the board for 30 years now. And like I said, I've seen a lot of changes, and I've been there to help all the changes of the books and all the events and everything, being helping with all that over the course of the years and everything. But like I said, I've been there for 30 years, and like I said, seen a lot of changes, and like to see carry it through into the next generation of these kids that are coming to the library. Like I said, I've been there a long time.
That is a long commitment. Thank you very much for your commitment. Would any of the councilors like to say something? Councilor Zambudo.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I've known Paul for all these years, and he's a person of integrity, and I'm just thrilled that he continues to want to serve the city. So I obviously wholeheartedly support his reappointment.
Thank you, Councilor. Any other councilors? Councilor Agenzio.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. I know Mr. Ring also. I'd love to see his experience on the library. He's an excellent candidate for this, and he's been doing a great job for 30 years, and I fully support Mr. Ring.
Thank you, Paul. Continue to do a good job for the city. That's what Councilor Guanasso would say all the time after an appointment, so I'm just continuing his legacy. But thank you for your commitment. All in favor, all opposed for a favorable recommendation? So ordered. Thank you.
Council Order 24-182, communication from the mayor relative to the appointment of Diana Ayala to the Library Board of Trustees.
Is Diana here? She's not here? So, okay, we're going to table Diana. Do I have to do? All in favor, all opposed? To table. Okay, no further business. This concludes the appointment subcommittee meeting. Thank you very much for coming.